international stage. Do you see the senior side, the full side, were at the home of cricket yesterday, training? Yeah, in the UK. Looking forward to 5 Test series coming up, or starting later this month. Starts on the 20th of June up at Headingley.
Well, it's an exciting summer for England versus India series, really, because there's this one, there's the main senior men's Test series, and the women have a white ball series, there's an under-19 series, and there's a pan-disability series as well for the first time ever. So England and India seem to be playing a lot of cricket against each other this summer, which is very exciting.
Carpooling. Saves on travel costs as
well. Yeah, I wonder. Yeah.
Hire a few Kias from Heathrow Airport, it'd be fine. Nice shot. James Rew off the mark. Square drive behind backward point. Will run all the way down to the boundary. Doesn't look like it's going to go, as Cox and Rew have just had to put the foot down a little bit and complete an all-run 4 with a shy at the stumps by Dhruv Jurel. I think there was overstep there by Khalil Ahmed to start with, although the umpires just signalled by.
Well, I did wonder, yeah, but he held one hand up.
Okay, that is a no ball. There was definitely a signal for a bye. And I think, unfortunately, I might have got the automotive sponsor wrong. Obviously, it wouldn't be those. It would be Toyotas that are being rented, of course. But Khalil Ahmed overstepping, adding another extra to the tally. James Rew off the mark, and Ahmed there, better line, better length, and defended by James Rew. I'm excited to watch James Rew bat. He's someone that I've not had the pleasure yet to enjoy in Red Bull Cricket live. You obviously would have watched him an awful lot more than I have, but 10 first-class hundreds to his name already is remarkable.
Yeah, he's a lovely young lad, and he's a super cricketer. He's just picked up the tempo in the last. He had his breakthrough year a couple of seasons ago, scored 1,000 runs. I think only 2 people in the First Division of County Championship scored more runs than him, and he was 19.
There's a bit of lift from Khalil Ahmed. Good take by Dhruv Jurel.
And his strike rate, if you look at his numbers in the last couple of years, has just stepped up a bit. And I did ask him not so long ago, I said, is that a deliberate, conscious thing? Is that a Bazball thing? And actually, very honestly, he said, to be honest, I didn't even notice. He's not a big numbers man. He said, well, he thought about it for a few seconds. So it's probably more situationally, as a unit, when he's a Somerset cricketer, he said, in that first year, I used to come in more tricky situations, and so I'm just batting accordingly. It was interesting to hear, because you look at the pure numbers, and one assumes that that's a deliberate, conscious effort.
Yes, yeah, you certainly would. It's well left, it keeps incredibly low, and that's just hurt Dhruv Jurel there, as it's hit him rather than he's stopped it. He's got a smile on his face though, so he's back on his feet, ready to go again, but pitch just getting a little bit up and down here.
Shows the difficulty of wicketkeeping. Not only is it moving around a bit, and yes, they were different length deliveries, but the previous one has come up, and Jurel's been almost leaping as he's taken it.
Yeah.
And that one's gone underground. So one for, as a bowler, you're probably not too discouraged by that. But as a keeper, makes it even harder.
Certainly does. 2 left then in Khalil Ahmed's over from the David Capelin, and that one much more comfortable and confident for James Rew and Dhruv Jurel to deal with. Despite the excitement of the Indian slip quarter thinking that was the end of the over, they've forgotten the fact there were 4 no balls earlier on in the piece. I find that quite fascinating with James Rew and the strike rate. I completely trust what James Rew has said there on his assessment of the situation, but subconsciously I'd be amazed if there wasn't one eye on that kind of senior England side, thinking, well, might just have to get that up a little tick if I am going to be considered for selection, which clearly he is. And that's a lovely shot. Square drive by James Rew. There's not going to be any doubt that one's going to cross the boundary rope. It's a beautiful shot by the Somerset youngster, and it is for 210, 214 for 3, in fact.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. He certainly wants to play a lot more white ball cricket. He just hasn't had the opportunity. So Somerset were the reigning T20 champions, and they lost the final last year. He ended up, Tom Banton got injured in the quarter-final here, actually. And so he wasn't available. No, in fact, sorry, he got injured in a first-class game after the quarter-final, but he wasn't available for finals day. James Roux came in and made 50 at the top of the order on his T20 debut. Scores runs, can score runs quickly, but hasn't had the opportunity to really focus on his white ball cricket because of the way he's been playing first-class cricket in England Lions setup. But yeah, you're always going to have half an eye on it. He's batted almost predominantly at 6 for Somerset until the last couple of weeks when they've shifted their batting order around a little bit. So he's in at 5 here. He's been batting at 4 for Somerset the last couple of weeks. And coming in at 6 is sometimes a difficult situation. The way you play is dictated by what's gone before you. Anyway, here's Thacker into Cox. Just drops it into the offside. Roux and Cox have a little look at each other and the call is yes. Good call.
Yeah, there's another thing as well you mentioned about what's happened before you, but you've also got one eye on what happens next when you're in there at number 6. You've got an eye on the quality of your 9, 10 and 11. You've got an eye on a potential declaration. You've got an eye on time. There's so many different factors to it. Whereas at number 4, you're in there, you're carded as a genuine, proper top order batter, and you can just go out there and bat, can't you?
Yeah, and I think that's where he'll probably end up and Setter. We certainly got the quality to do that. He keeps wicket as well, so there's always that debate about how much workload you put on someone who is also keeping wicket. He's skippering in this game as well, so he's having to do a lot of thinking. Might as well open the bowling too, why not?
I reckon he's got some handy off breaks in him. Or do you think he's going to be charging in from the long run?
You know what, I don't know, but a lot of wicketkeepers do fancy themselves as quite quick bowlers, don't they? Remember Craig Keysweeter used to charge in and actually bowl quite sharp. A lot of them is kind of short and skinny,
yeah,
and just like to bowl bouncers. I'm not sure.
Get a bit of their own back.
Yeah, there've been many people that have kept and bowled for England. Trescothick did it. He definitely kept for England a couple of times.
Yeah, Collingwood did.
Yeah.
He kept once or twice, didn't he?
What a fielder he was. Probably still is. Turned away to mid-wicket. Have any others done it? Oh, I'm trying to think. Wouldn't have thought Alex Stewart would have a bowl. We're more in the modern era. Wicketkeeper bowlers. It's not really a category, is it? Wicketkeeper bowlers.
Not one that tends to roll off the tongue, no.
Not wicketkeeper batters.
And I think the two that we've mentioned are, well, Collingwood certainly not. Certainly an occasional. I think desperate times called for desperate measures, didn't it, when he took the gloves? But Trescothick kind of fell into the occasional category for both.
Ooh, that's a beauty from Thacker. There's an appeal for caught behind. It wasn't really wholehearted. It is a beauty. The wicketkeeper wasn't interested at all, which is always a very good tell. Jarrell was more interested in applauding the delivery. It was a beaut.
Yeah, James Roux looked a long way from that. Whether there was a brush of the pad or maybe James Roux just scuffed the floor there as the ball's gone past, but he looked a fair way from it as the ball went past the bat.
It did nip back towards him, the left-hander, which is probably what got the bowler excited. Interesting, Dhoni had 1 ODI wicket.
Yes.
350 games. That man could do anything though, couldn't he, really? Fuller trying to tempt James Roux into the drive. Again, Thacker's got his hand up. Almost.
A.B. de Villiers must have done it at some point. He certainly kept.
He definitely kept.
Certainly batted.
That I can confirm. Yeah, he batted the odd time.
He was
a little
all right,
bit of
wasn't
success,
he?
didn't
He was all right. He must have bowled.
Yeah, a couple of test wickets.
Yeah.
He's got 9 international wickets, A.B. de Villiers. Can we better that? Wicketkeepers with international wickets.
Honestly, I'm not. I'm disappointed and surprised it's not more.
Didn't bowl in first-class cricket very much, other than tests. Just saved it for tests.
Save the arm.
Ooh, that's left on length really from James Roux there. It's a good line, shaping back towards him, back of a length. End of the over. A decent one from Thacker. Still a bit of a mixed bag, but better than his first one from the Lynn Wilson centre end. 50 overs gone. England Lions 215 for free. Jordan Cox has 41 of them. James Roux has 8. We've got at least, should the weather and the light hold, 94 overs left in the day.
There'll be somebody at home listening to this screaming at the broadcast going, "You've forgotten."
But that's the equivalent. There will be. But it's like when you sit at home and watch a quiz show on TV.
Yeah.
It's so easy. We're here sweating under the spotlight of pressure, having to think of it live.
Khalil Ahmed continuing. And that one just tracking back at Jordan Cox, getting him in the thigh pads. Ball just starting to offer a little bit for the India A seamers. And I'd say the two of these, Khalil Ahmed and Shardul Thakur, on the morning of day 3 have bowled as well as any of them have during the course of the game so far. There was a fantastic kind of 4-5 over spell from Anshul Kamboj yesterday, yesterday at the start of that innings from the Lynn Wilson centre end, but just struggled to kind of build those partnerships up and bowl in tandem with one another, which these two just feel like they're starting to be able to do, don't they? 2 slips and a gully in place. A big flashy drive from Jordan Cox through to Dhruv Jurel. No bat on that one at all, though.
He's lost his balance, lost his head a little bit there, didn't he, Jordan Cox? He was jumping around. Bowler and those slips there, won't mind that too much. They did flash pretty hard, though. If that was going to be an outside edge, it was going to be a thick one.
Yeah, they're just, Gordon's just starting to feel like it's in the game for a little bit, doesn't it? I think for a lot of the time yesterday, they were quite quiet, quite docile, and relatively slow, covering those, 40 yards from one end to the other. But just over the last this opening 22 minutes, they felt like they're in the game. Khalil Ahmed again challenging that off stump of Jordan Cox. Dropped dead batted into the leg side.
Yeah, and what this game has missed is consistency at the bowling, right? We've had it in 20, 30 minute spells, what we've not had, and what is one of the most thrilling things in cricket is when you get an hour or a sustained period of high quality seam bowling, a couple of very decent batters in, and then you get those real challenging periods, and that's when it becomes intense and draws you in, and that's what these players need if they're preparing for a test match as well, is that sort of intensity.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how many of the 22 here will be in contention for that test match. That's a short ball. It's pulled away by Jordan Cox dismissively with a couple of bounces down to the deep mid-wicket boundary. The fielder there on the square at mid-wicket, I think, left his hands in his pockets almost for the entirety of that and just turned and casually watched it fly over his head. Down to the long boundary here at the county ground in Northampton. Just a short arm jab by Jordan Cox.
Yeah, I'm not sure it's even come off the middle of the bat. I think he's towed it. He's gone too early on it, and the way he's inspecting the bottom of that bat suggests as well. I think he was looking to hit that over the rope without any use of the grass.
Yeah, it has felt a little bit two-paced this morning, hasn't it? The 22 yards that we're playing on. It did get a little bit soggy yesterday, and despite the brilliant work by Craig Harvey and his team here at Northamptonshire County Cricket Club, the ground staff, there would have been a little bit of moisture got onto those 22 yards, and it's a beauty, and that is an appeal, and it's gone this time. What a comeback from Khalil Ahmed. Jordan Cox has just had a little fidget at that as it's gone past the off stump. It's a good take by Dhruv Jurel. It felt like it was in slow motion looking at it from here. Floated into the gloves. India have their first of the morning. Jordan Cox rehearses the shot that he wanted to play, and England Lions are 219 for 4.
Yeah, and it was just that line, the left armour bowling across the right hander. Jordan Cox felt he had to play at it, wasn't able to withdraw that back in time, and there was that little bit of wobble after it had taken the nick, so it looks like a routine catch, but Jurel had to watch that all the way into the gloves, which he did, and that'll make Khalil Ahmed feel a little bit better about the morning. It'll make India A feel a little bit better about their work. It's an absolute beauty. Maybe he'll look at it again and think perhaps I shouldn't have been playing at that one, but is it just its sort of pitch, middle and leg? It was quite extravagant movement. So Jordan Cox, anyway, he has to go, and the right-hand, left-hand combination has been broken because Max Holden, another left-hander, is wandering out into the middle.
There's a few of those in this England Lions squad, isn't there? But Max Holden returns to Northamptonshire. Once of this parish, he spent some time here on loan a couple of seasons ago and had a good time of it here at the county grounds. Scored a good 100 for Middlesex here against Northamptonshire last summer. And it's been in good form. 101, wasn't it, down at Canterbury in the first unofficial test. Here you go. This is a question that you'll be able to answer, but
that's putting the pressure on it.
You probably know what it is as well, but why is it an unofficial test? What qualifies an England Lions versus India A game of 4-day cricket to become an official test of?
I don't think it can become an official test, can it? Because it's not a test match.
That makes sense. So that's the thing I'm struggling with, is that why is it not just
The
a
first class game.
Yeah.
I think it just sounds a bit better though, doesn't it?
Well, I don't know. I've said it a few times
Unofficial
over the last
test.
couple of days, and it just hasn't quite got the ring to it.
It's
for
like
me,
a black market test match, is it?
but
Find it
kind
on
of
the
feels
dark
like
web.
it just doesn't roll off the tongue as much as I'd like it to.
It doesn't.
But Max Holden of Middlesex in at number 6. He's been dropped down the order by a couple of spots since Canterbury. Khalil Ahmed with his tail up starts challenging that leg stump, and Max Holden turns it into the leg side to end the over. Breakthrough for India this morning. 219 for 4. 51 overs now have been bowled in the innings, and I've just looked out the window and realised that the scoreboard out the side there and the electronic one just not keeping up to date. So we've got to go on the TV screen rather than looking out the window.
We can do that. Between us, we can keep an eye on the TV screen. Interesting field placing there for Max Holden. There was that fielder at almost a short forward square leg. Clearly a ploy, and he turned that ball along the ground straight to him. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Max Holden in this squad. A good reward actually. He's played a lot of first class cricket. He's been around for a fair few years. They've known he's a talent. He was likened to Sir Alistair Cook, which is high praise indeed. Also a lot of pressure early doors, but he's very strong square of the wicket, both on the off and leg side. It's James Real on strike too. Shardul Thakur. That one keeps a little bit low. Real plays down the inside of it. Almost goes through to Jarrell. On the bounce, half volley, made it look really simple. Sunglasses on. Still plenty of jumpers out there. It's not warm particularly. There's a bit of a breeze blowing across the catting ground here in Northampton.
Yeah, it was pretty chilly all of yesterday. Very, very strong westerly breeze coming across the grounds.
That helps. When there's a bit of a rain around, breeze does help because it blows the rain free. We were able to just turn that one down to final leg, pick up a single, so Thakur will have his first look at Max Holden in this game. New to the crease because of that dismissal of Jordan Cox this morning. He'll have been sat there with his pads on for this opening half hour, approaching 11:30. We can go right through till 7:30 tonight to get those over if we need to. Slightly elongated day, if the weather holds, that is.
If we worked out you're watching this broadcast over in India, that'd be about 1 o'clock in the morning, wouldn't it? With that 5.5 hour time difference between local time and IST.
But we were saying it's the perfect day for a school trip. Well, I don't know what time they finish school over in India, but it was about 3:15, 3:20 I think I used to finish
It's a
school.
Sunday as well.
Ah, yes. It's a good point, well made. It's been in my excuse for 9 months, but I have a 9-month-old baby. I have no idea what day it is. I know it's dark, and then it gets light, and it gets dark again. And I don't sleep much during either of those periods. No schools there on a Sunday. Beautiful. Oh, speaking of beauty, that's a lovely delivery, just shaped across the left-hander. New batter, Max Holden, using his feet to try and negate any swing, maybe put the bowler off his length slightly, just a tad under 79 miles an hour. So speed-wise, not that much different to what Holden might be used to in the county championship. He had a strong, really strong summer last year for Middlesex, close to 1,000 runs. Hasn't quite passed that barrier yet in his career, and that's always seen as a bit of a milestone, a benchmark for a batter in the English domestic season. Same again. This is good. A couple of looseners in his first over Thakur, but he's been excellent since. Keep that ball in that channel to Max Holden. It's going to be an interesting battle. Hope you spotted, Dan. You're up on your feet.
I'm just liaising with one of the team members here at Northamptonshire County Cricket Club, just trying to get the scoreboards updated for everybody in the ground. We're obviously lucky on the broadcast here, and technically I suppose not relevant to the show, but for the fans that have made their way into the ground, nice to get the scoreboard updated for them.
You're a man of the people though, aren't you?
I try my best.
Selfless, Dan. Even when you're working, you're still working for the people.
Cricket never takes a day off, Sam.
And the schools do though. They don't go, on a Sunday there's no school. 220 for 4, 52 overs gone.
Yeah, they do, fortunately. They were always the 2 days in the week that you look forward to as a child, weren't they?
I always felt sorry for those that had Saturday school.
Yeah, me too. Unlucky. Fortunately, wasn't in a position where my parents were sending me off to one of those schools. So
No.
so what might have curtailed my cricket career has benefited my weekends as a youngster. So
They did get long holidays, though, didn't they?
Yeah.
Or long summer holidays. Used to get jealous of that.
swings and roundabouts. Khalil Ahmed then continuing this spell from the David Capel end. He's got the breakthrough. He's got his first of the piece. 3 overs, no maidens, 1 for 15. Got the wicket of Jordan Cox at the end of his previous over. James Roux is on strike. And that is coming through with good pace from Khalil Ahmed this morning.
Yeah, and it's interesting, that shape away from the left-hander. See, if we look at the way the slips are set up there, we've got a couple of slips and a gully, but there's a big gap between the wicketkeeper and I don't know if I can even call it first slip. I think it's more second slip, really. I mean, we'll see it again in a second from Khalil Ahmed comes into bowl, but there's a huge gap backing Jarrell to cover a fair bit of ground there.
Saw that on day one, didn't we? KR Rahul, the slip drive between James Roux and Ben McKinney. That one back of a length and punched quite beautifully actually into the leg side for a casual single for James Roux. Max Holden back on strike, give him an opportunity to open his account here at Montage Road.
It's that little forearm jab, isn't it?
It's a boxy, wasn't it? Just punching from the crease.
It's quite an attractive shot in its own way, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not the
Staccato.
not the most extravagant, but yeah, Max Holden's loan here at Northamptonshire was in 2017, so a fair time ago now. You mentioned he's obviously had an established first-class career. Up to date, that would have been as a youngster. Couldn't get into the Middlesex first 11, and Northampton put the feelers out and been able to Max Holden up the M1 from North London to Wantage Road. Earlier on in his career, he did pretty well as well. 200s, 350s for Northamptonshire in that loan spell, which I dare say then probably encouraged Middlesex to get him involved in their first class team and contentions. Otherwise, I'm sure Northamptonshire would have been excited with the prospect of making that move permanent up the country.
Yeah, it's got 8 first-class hundreds, a couple of T20 hundreds as well. Scores very quickly in T20 at the top of the order. Opens up in that format, so capable of getting on with it. Not sure we'll see that side of him too much today.
No, I wouldn't imagine so. There's runs to be scored, isn't there? Once you get yourself in here at the county grounds. Does advance it. Khalil Ahmed gets a thick outside edge. James Roux rightfully turning him down. I've missold him as well. It was 211 not out here for Middlesex in 2024. Just a lovely average of 43 at Wantage Road for Max Holden.
Nice. A 200 not out helps, doesn't it?
Adds to it, doesn't it?
First class average just a shade above 31, which is just below where he would probably want to be. I think
Yeah.
you just need to be a bit higher than that across a quite a big sample size as well. 102 first class games, so he's played a lot of cricket and done pretty well, but not quite got the numbers and demonstrate his talent.
No, little shuffle across and forward again. Well fielded by Yashasri Jaiswal, isn't it? At third slip, fourth slip gully region that's picked that up, had a shy at Max Holden stumps there as he's shuffled forward.
Yeah, a couple of the senior men in that slip calling.
Hey, you've earned the right.
But it's good to see that intensity, right? We've talked about potentially it being lacking there, but you know, if Max Holden's going to shuffle,
Yep.
you're going to have a shy.
Well, yeah, I mean, you'd expect that to happen at day one at Headingley, wouldn't you? If England were batting first, you'd be disappointed if that popped up nicely into the hands of fourth slip and they didn't have a shy. If Zach Crawley had just had a little advancement, again shuffles forward and will get off the mark. 9th time of asking for Max Holden, just turns it off the hip. Nice one to get off the mark. It doesn't get much more comfortable for a first-class batter. Just one on the hip, turn it round the corner. Thank you very much. Yeah, particularly the left-hander.
He starts quite deep in his crease, doesn't he, Holden? But then that shuffle forward is quite a natural one from him. As you can see, the skies, there's a bit of cloud in the skies. It's not a beautiful summer's day, but it's certainly a better day than yesterday, and it isn't raining. There's plenty of sunshine poking through. It's very light. I don't think we're in any... Was it a game? Where was I earlier in the year? The floodlights were on for about 2 o'clock. I think it was up at Durham. 2 o'clock they turned the floodlights on.
Yeah, I think we had them on at pretty much lunchtime yesterday. Had them on before lunch, in fact. They did go off for the lunch break, but then came back on pretty quickly in the afternoon session.
Solid from Max Holden. Charlotte Vacker continuing. He opened up from this limb when Wilson centre end earlier on this morning. A change of end. Yesterday he operated exclusively from the David Capel end. Trying something a little bit different. He's bowled 9 overs, 9.1 overs now, 0 for 33. Bowled a couple of beauties at James Rew in the previous over. Getting that ball to wobble around, just move back in late to the left-hander from over the wicket. Again, a couple of slips and a gully in, but it was a second rather than a first slip. Again, as we've seen probably 3 or 4 times this morning, he's beaten the bat. Just tempted Max Holden into a drive that he'll probably be walking away to square leg thinking, yeah, you've got to leave those alone, Maxie. And the arm goes up, almost to celebrate a good delivery. I like that enthusiasm from Shardul Thakur.
Yeah, he's asked the questions a couple of times, hasn't he? England just really trying to, or giving the impression at least, that they're trying to put their foot down this morning.
Well, they will try and play a positive game of cricket, right? They'll be looking to try and win it even from here. Why not? Give it a go. What's the lead now? So they're 126 behind, they've got 6 wickets remaining. A decent partnership or two gives them a first innings lead. I know it's very early on day 3, but why not go for the victory?
Yeah, it'll be fascinating to see how this surface and this pitch develops over the course of the next 2 days as well. Will it start to spin? Will it break up? There are a couple of footholds out there. Does that bring Farhan Ahmed into the game?
Well, not only are you a man of the people, Dan, you're also a man of North fans. How has the pitches here at Wantage Road played back end of county championship games this season?
Just pretty well, to be fair. I think that it's been good for the seamers. There's been lateral movement, there's been swing, there's been seam. It has started to offer, particularly day 4 against Lancashire here. Calvin Harrison bowled a fantastic spell, the leg spinner that was on loan from Nottinghamshire to Northants for a couple of games. Certainly bowled nicely, but then again against Gloucestershire didn't really kind of materialise in the same way.
Again, not for the first time in the over, and certainly not for the first time in the day. Shardul Thakur beats the bat. Maybe that one sticks a little bit low. I've now learned I must keep my eyes closely on Jarrell behind the stumps, because Thakur beats the bat, up goes the arm, the old Alan Shearer celebration for fans of Premier League icons of the 90s. And so Jarrell unmoved. 2-2-2 for 4.
Well, you've always wanted to say that, haven't you?
Yeah, it's almost a little tick, isn't it? You just go into the Richie Venno without
It's really
even
difficult
meaning
not
to.
to.
Subconscious.
What a broadcaster, what a cricketer.
No ball. Not quite getting his run up. It was meant to be, penciled in to be the last ball of his 10th over. Alas, he will have to go again. It was a decent delivery if you leave aside the fact he bowled it from a little bit too close to the batter, which I can't really leave that aside. We've still got 90.1 overs remaining in the day. Max Holden, relatively new to the crease, the 1 wicket to fall so far in this opening 40 minutes or so. That of Jordan Cox. Doesn't cost him any runs. 2-2-3 for 4, 54 gone. 90 left in the day. England Lions trail by 125. When did they become the Lions, not England Day?
That's a fantastic question.
It's been the Lions for a while, hasn't it?
It feels like it has, yeah. I'd have to have a Google or a research and see if I can find some information for you, but I'm sure it wouldn't be that hard to work out.
It was a bit unfair of me just to ask you that. It wasn't quite a rhetorical question, but I wasn't expecting an instant response.
Well, it happened on the 13th of September. No, I don't know, but it's been a good start for India here, or India A. 40 minutes into day 3, and England have they been able to add some quick maths, about 30 runs in the 8 overs that we've had.
Yeah, 31. I think they started 192 for free.
It's been a good combination, a good bowling partnership between Khalil Ahmed and Shardul Thakur. James Root on strike, the captain, the man that was called into that Zimbabwe test squad, and that's gone this time. That is a beauty from Khalil Ahmed. James Root quizzically stares back at the surface there because he's been served up an absolute brute of a delivery from Khalil Ahmed, who's got 2 this morning. He's really got his tail up. What an absolute jaffa that was.
Yeah, not much James Root can do, to be honest. You have to be a pretty good player to nick that into the slips. We've seen a couple. We saw one a little bit earlier on this morning. Khalil Ahmed to the left-hander, just leap almost off slightly back of a lane. And that was another one. It was a good catch, and I tell you what, those slips are right where they need to be. We talked about first slip being pretty wide, almost a second slip, and then went straight to the man there. So a brilliant start from Khalil Ahmed this morning, who has been very, very impressive.
He has. I was just looking at some of the numbers actually for Khalil Ahmed. It's quite a fascinating first-class CV, and we were talking off-air, weren't we, about the complications of first-class cricket in India if you don't follow it massively closely. And it's quite difficult. There's not a huge amount of broadcast over here in the UK of the Ranji Trophy and the Duleep Trophy, and then the Irani, is it Trophy or Cup, the Irani?
I think it was Trophy, yeah.
I think it's the Trophy as well. So kind of 3 technical first-class competitions there, although the Irani Trophy is the best of India versus the champions of the Ranji Trophy. You look at Khalil Ahmed's numbers, he's only played 20 first-class matches in his career. Considering he's been capped for both ODI and T20 sides for India, 128 T20 matches in his career, but in those 20 first-class matches he's picked up 52 wickets in the build-up to this. It's quite fascinating because you look at the numbers. Played a handful of games between 2017 and 2020, and then in January 2024 came back to first-class cricket and has played pretty much all the way through for Rajasthan in the Ranji Trophy and in the Duleep Cup. New batter is George Hill for the Lions, and he's gone straight through him. Khalil Ahmed, there's a big celebration, arms outstretched. He's beaten the defences of Yorkshire's all-rounder, and all of a sudden, England are 6 down. Khalil Ahmed's on a hat-trick. What a start this has been to day 3 for India A.
Just shows the value of the Yorker. We talked on day 1 about how it's almost a lesser spotted delivery. I don't think as a new batter you necessarily expect that, particularly having seen James Root fall to a back of a lane delivery that's just jumped. That's an absolute beauty. It's hitting the very base of off stump. He wheels away. He's a big man. There's a big wingspan there for Khalil Ahmed. He certainly enjoyed that. I enjoyed that too. I'm not sure George Hill will have enjoyed it so much, because sometimes that's life as a batter, right?
Yeah, you get good ones, don't you? And the good ones are slightly better earlier on in the piece, and that is an absolute beauty. And that's some of that white ball prowess that we were literally just talking about. Had he have played 100 first-class matches, would have his modus operandi be to have pitched that one up and just nip it away from George Hill? But no. Welcome to the crease, George Hill. First bat for the Lions in this series, and his off dolly has been uprooted here at the county ground in Northampton.
It's like you knew the Yorker was coming there.
I wish I did. I'd score a lot more runs if I could predict as to what was happening next. Chris Woakes in at number 8 for the Lions. Doesn't need much of an introduction, does he, Chris Woakes? Test match hundreds. Genuine all-round cricketer. A fantastic England career up to now. In contention for the 5 test matches this summer, and will undoubtedly play in that series. I suspect it'll be a bit of a rest and rotation deal for Chris Woakes through those 5 test matches.
You've got him marked in for Lords, haven't you?
Oh, he's got
the 3rd test.
He has to play at Lords, surely.
Before that, he's got a job to do here, because he's facing Khalil Ahmed, who is on a hat-trick. good batter, Chris Wokes, as well. I remember before we broke into the England side, he used to score a lot of runs in county championship cricket as a youngster. A genuine all-rounder, a very good number 8. Shapes up beautifully, just like his bowling. He does everything in a setting which is easy. Oh, he is a stylish cricketer, a stylish man.
Yeah, one of those golden generation England cricketers, isn't he? Born between 1989 and 1991.
You were part of that?
I am.
You include yourself?
Almighty water
I
కావాలంట.
qualify in the age group. Round of applause from the India A supporters as Khalil Ahmed comes in for the hat-trick. Chris Wokes stylishly defends that one into the offside, as if that's one of 1,000 balls that he's already.
Yeah, if you could pick a man in this England Lions face-centric delivery, I'd love to have a heart rate monitor on him, because I reckon it's just exactly the same. Just very chilled,
Yeah.
knew what was coming, pushed down, front foot solid.
It's been a good spell, this Khalil Ahmed. Fantastic. 3 wickets this morning. 3 for 45 from 12.5 overs. The big strapping left armour from a wonderfully named place in Rajasthan called Tonk. He's got 4 slips in place and it's driven through the offside. It's not going to make its way to the boundary. It's not beautifully timed by Chris Wokes, but he will come back for a couple. Open his account.
Well, this is where we're feeling the absence of my friend and fellow commentator Dan Whiting, because he'd have jumped straight on the word Tonk and come up with a line, something of the lines, well, he's not being Tonk today, is he?
Well,
So,
if you watched his batting yesterday morning, you could see that he was a dab hand at the Tonk,
was he?
backing away from Josh Tong and carving him over point for 4. It was entertaining, fresh from the IPL. Khalil Ahmed played for the Chennai Super Kings this season. That is a short ball, which you just see there, that pitch is just a little bit too pace, can't you? Because James Rue's he's had the outside edge ripped off that M&H cricket bat. That one there just seems to have sat in the wicket. Chris Wokes has got himself into position so early. He's had to wait an age for that to reach him.
He played that very well. It looked, in real time, a little bit ugly, but actually, it's exactly as you said on the replay. He was in position early and actually did really well to go, oh, okay, I need to adjust it, and just managed to play it down into the ground, because it could have, if he'd have flapped a little bit, it could have gone anywhere.
Stuck in the surface, doesn't it? 4 slips in place. And Chris Wokes just has a little fend at that one, as that one kisses off the surface this time and carries through with good pace. End of the over, a brilliant over for India A and Khalil Ahmed. 2 wickets in it, 55 done, 225.
And only a touch under 81 miles an hour, that shot. It just lifted, and again, it's wobbling late behind stumps. So we have a look at that scorecard for the England Lions wickets to fall this morning. All 3 of them, they resumed on 192 for 3. Khalil Ahmed has picked up the wicket of Jordan Cox first up, then that of James Drew. Both of those tickled behind to wicketkeeper and slips respectively, where Karen Nair took the catch off to dismiss James Drew, and then George Hill wandered out and couldn't dig out what was a quite brilliant Yorker from Ahmed. Leaves England Lions 225 for 6. Shardul Thakur continues. Max Hogan, who was a relatively new batter himself not so long ago, but he's now had a couple of partners. Chris Wokes is down at the non-strikers end. They're going to have a little bit of work to do. Just as I said, they'll be looking to tee up a victory here, push on a couple of big partnerships. They're in partnership now, if they're not to concede the first innings deficit, 123 they are behind the Rays. First innings score of 348. Rebuild, start again.
It's a healthy deficit as well, isn't it? It'll be a good lead for India A if they're able to wrap this up relatively quickly. I suppose the big question is, Sam, well, 2 questions is, firstly, who will India A replace Khalil Ahmed and Shardul Thakur with? They've both now bowled, or at completion of this, will have bowled 5 overs this morning apiece. 3 for 19 for Ahmed, none for 12 for Shardul Thakur. Have they got another partnership to back these 2 up and just keep that pressure on?
Options in Campbell, Deshpande, you watched them both bowl yesterday.
Yeah, Deshpande would certainly have to bowl considerably better than what he did 24 hours ago to continue the pressure.
beauty from Thacker. This time, no right hand up in celebration. Just back of a length, Max Holden withdrawing the bat in good time. Who would you turn to
Anshaw
based on yesterday?
Anshaw would be a non-negotiable. And then you've got the choice of Tushar Deshpande and Nitesh Kumar Reddy to go from the other end. Neither of them were at their best yesterday, I think would be the polite way to describe it. They offered scoring opportunities. The length and line was varied all the way through.
You'd think probably Khalil Ahmed off the back of that previous over would get another one.
Yeah.
A little bit of adrenaline. Maybe the plan initially as the skipper, you're thinking, oh, well, 5 over spell. Pick up a couple of wickets or on a hat trick, that gets the body going a little bit more. He's still a relatively young man as well, 26. Getting the ball to lift off just back of the length as well. I feel we'll see another over of him at least. This might be the last one of Shardul Thakur. Time for a change, perhaps. 4 dots. Max Holden just using those feet. Try and put the bowler off his length. Oh, it's quite deep in his crease. That one's gone through really low. So, Dhruv Jurel behind the stumps. He's kept very well this morning actually. He's had to deal with a little bit of wobble, a little bit of variable bounce. And a few thud into his gloves around shoulder head height. A couple of cap low, a couple of bounce before him. Not an easy place to keep wicket, England.
No, and some of these grounds are harder than others, aren't they? For no obvious reason, the ball will stand up and wobble as it goes past the stumps.
That one's got up a little bit. There's a big appeal for caught behind. As it flicked 5 pad, as it flicked a little bit of glove. Max Holden stands there. Umpire is unmoved. The only signal we have is that of the end of the over. Certainly more interested in that morning, and Jurel has joined him on that one, but Max Holden is still there. 56 overs gone here at the County Ground in Northampton. England lines 225 for 6.
Yeah, tails up, wasn't it, kind of appeal. It was 2 quick wickets that have happened recently, 3 this morning to take England Lions to 225 for 6. So Shardul Thakur maybe at the end of his spell, still wicketless, just giving an extra little bit of mustard on that celebration or appeal to try and convince the umpires there, who are just having a conversation with one another here in the middle to pick up that wicket of Max Holden, who will be the Lions' last recognised batter, wouldn't he, Max Holden? Should get in towards Farhan Ahmed, Josh Tong and Eddie Jack to round out the tail here.
Yeah, I think Farhan Ahmed has the potential to be a sort of good number 7-8 as he settles into a little bit of first class cricket. He's only 17 years old. That is quite remarkable.
Yeah, well, you predicted right here, Sam. Good cricket captaincy from you. You've obviously played that video game a couple of times in your career and in your youth. Khalil Ahmed will get one more. So he'll be from the David Capel end. 4 slips in place. Chris Wokes on strike. Back of a length. Punched into the off-swing. Run up towards the signal box and the supporters club here at the County Ground. It'll be a long chase. And the fielder will win as the ball just runs out of momentum. Stays inside the boundary rope. Chris Wokes completes a 3rd. Moves on to 5. Just 1 career fifer in the 20 first-class matches for Khalil Ahmed. That came earlier in the Ranji Trophy this year against Karun Nair's side. Top 5 for 30-odd in the first innings.
He's got a good chance here. Good chance. He was keen there as well. Everyone else was still wandering around. He was at the top of his mark, ready to go before anyone else was in play. There was no chance he was being withdrawn from the attack there.
That's been a good spell this morning for India A's left arm quick. With Holden on strike now, that slip cord just spread.